Hello everyone, welcome to another sobriety video today. I have received such incredible responses on some of my previous sobriety and sober living videos, and I just want to thank everyone who takes the time to share a concern or share a win. I love reading about those, and I think my goal in making these videos was to promote a conversation around drinking and alcohol and the role it plays in our society, especially for young people, but for everybody. So I'm just really stoked that we are having a conversation about it, even if it's just on my videos here. So I have a new video for you today. Today I'm going to be walking through the 3 most important steps, in my opinion, in my experience, that made all the difference in quitting drinking. Now, quitting drinking and getting sober is not a 1, 2, 3 and done kind of deal. If you've ever tried to quit drinking or take a break, it often is surprisingly more difficult than it sounds. And it took me many tries before it stuck. This last time, I've now been sober for over 2.5 years. It's completely changed my life. And it's important to know that there was a time where I didn't think it was possible for me to live a sober life. And living it now, I feel like it's my responsibility to share that encouragement to others who are sort of at that beginning where it seems totally impossible, and just to reassure you that it's hard, especially in the beginning. But once you sort of scale that hardest part, that first part of actually saying, I'm going to do this and sticking through it, it gets easier. So without further rambling, let's dive into my 3 most important steps to quit drinking. Number 1, and this one might sound a little obvious, is to decide that you want to quit drinking. Now, this is a little bit more involved than just saying, okay, I'm done, I want to quit. Because I feel like a lot of us have had that moment. You wake up after a night out, you're absolutely hungover, you're throwing up in a toilet or whatever, and you say, I am never drinking again. Nope, I'm done. This is not for me. Why am I doing this? And then, 24 hours later or less, you're back out with your friends doing the same thing over again. The difference between that I'm never going to drink again and the I'm never going to drink again that actually leads you to sobriety is that there's a very clear purpose behind one. When you have that moment and you decide, I don't know that I want to drink anymore, for whatever reason, it doesn't really matter, and I say this in all my videos, like there's no one size fits all for why you'd want to get sober. You can quit drinking and cut alcohol out of your life for whatever reason you feel fit. The big thing is that when you decide that you don't want to drink anymore, you actually have to understand why you drink in the first place. I think one thing that really changed my perspective is that we partake in behaviors because they give us a benefit, right? So when you're drinking, there is a benefit that you see in this routine or this habit. For me, for example, drinking helped me relax. It helped me quiet my mind. In social situations, it numbed my social anxiety and helped me feel more confident and cool. So those things were the benefits that I saw in drinking. For me to successfully quit drinking, I had to dismantle every single one of those. And that is sort of the foundational work that you have to set yourself up for successful sobriety. You have to really break down the fact that alcohol is not helping you. And that means understanding why you drink in the first place, dismantling each one of those benefits that you feel, and then understanding why you want to quit drinking. So for me, that looked like, okay, alcohol helps me relax. That was the benefit that I saw. On the flip side, alcohol doesn't actually help me relax. I had undiagnosed ADHD. I had a super overactive mind. I dealt with a lot of anxiety and overthinking. And alcohol literally helped me shut down my brain, because that's what alcohol does. And it made it quiet for a temporary amount of time. So I'd have a horrible day. I'd feel super overwhelmed. I didn't have the coping tools to sort of process bad feelings. So I would drink, and that would numb my brain and just shut everything down for a few hours, and I'd go to bed. But the unfortunate thing is that I would wake up with all of those bad feelings still there, and on top of it, I'd be hungover. And so you'd have this sort of rinse and repeat cycle. Plus, alcohol is terrible for my mental health and made it so much worse over time. On the social side, again, for me, these are my examples. I felt that alcohol made me more confident, more cool, more funny, more approachable. In reality, and I see this now sort of on the outside looking at other people drinking doesn't make anyone cooler. I have not met a single person in my 2.5 years sober at events and parties and work things where drunk people are a better version of themselves than when they are sober. Alcohol obviously clouds your brain and does give you that feeling that you are being cool and funny and entertaining. But the reality is that when people drink, they become sloppy, they become loud, they become less intelligent, like they keep repeating themselves, they don't process information as well, and that's not your fault. It's literally your brain just like working with less power. So accepting the fact that alcohol did not make me cooler and in many ways made me less cool than I am sober was another sort of big one that I had to break down. So figuring out whatever it is that you feel alcohol gives you, so really understanding why you drink. At the end, sort of have this very frank and practical understanding that alcohol isn't helping you makes it a lot easier to walk away from it by truly understanding why it isn't good for you. Okay, step number 2, and this is another huge sort of pitfall that I found in my experience that I also feel like other people run into, is actually telling someone about your intention. So you've done the work, you've decided that you want to quit drinking, you understand why you want to quit drinking. I think one of the common things that we do is we don't want to tell someone, one, because we don't want to say, hey, I feel like I want to quit drinking. People have a lot of, negative associations with that. Oh, you have a drinking problem. Oh, you're an alcoholic, whatever that might be. We feel ashamed. So we don't want to tell our friends that A, we're struggling, or, B, we want to quit for whatever reason. And so we don't tell anyone. For a lot of people, going to a meeting or something like that might not be the best fit. It wasn't for me. It might feel super overwhelming. So people just don't end up going and they try to do it all on their own. There's a couple problems here. Number one, having a sense of community, having people on your side and in your corner to help you along the way, whether that's medically or emotionally, is crucial. This is also an important part to note that if you are drinking a lot of alcohol, or you are someone who wakes up and needs to consume alcohol to function, or you've experienced withdrawals when you've tried to quit previously, it's really imperative that you go see a doctor before quitting. If you go to a local meeting, I'm sure there's people that can connect you there, but it's really important that you reach out for help, because detoxing can be life-threatening if you are consuming enough alcohol. So I highly recommend speaking to a medical professional before trying to quit. That wasn't my experience. I did not have physical withdrawals. I did not have a physical addiction to alcohol, so I can't really speak to that, but it's really important to know. Even if you don't have a physical addiction, if you drink every once in a while and it just gets out of hand, or maybe you're sort of a casual, too much drinker, or maybe you just don't like yourself when you drink, whatever that might be, even if you don't have a physical dependency on alcohol, and I think this is almost more difficult because then you're like, well, I don't have a problem, so I don't really have to tell anyone. You can do hard things, but it's a lot easier to do when you have a sense of community, whether that's going to a meeting, even if it's not an AA meeting. I have a video specifically dedicated to 2 alternatives to AA meetings that I did that were really helpful to me and gave that sort of sense of community and a sense of support, whether that's telling a friend, like really opening up to someone who loves you and will support you. I promise people are a lot more understanding than you might think they're going to be, especially your friends, especially if they're friends that you drink with. Tell your mom, tell your dad, tell a sibling, a therapist, your primary care provider, a priest. Having a sense of community and having that support is really huge, because there's going to be times where it's going to be really hard, and having someone to lean on, having someone to cheer you on is going to make all the difference. The second part of this tip or this step is that when you don't tell anyone that you're trying to quit drinking, but this works for literally any goal, when you don't tell someone, there is no accountability. If I don't tell someone that I'm trying to be sober and I get a week in and then I'm like, oh, I'm gonna have a drink, there is much less of a sense of accountability, because the only person that knows that I was trying to quit is me. So when I drink, there really isn't any sort of accountability there. This was especially a huge pitfall for me, and I kind of set myself up for failure, because picking up another drink was much easier because there was no one to sort of let down except myself. And it's kind of as if it never happened. When you tell someone about your goal, it makes it a lot more real, because now someone else is involved. Now someone else is aware of your sort of reality and what you're dealing with, and it adds another checkpoint of accountability, which I think is really important. So you have that support element, but also that accountability that takes it from a goal that's inside your head to making it something that's real and tangible and has sort of checks and balances in the real world. Number 3 is taking baby steps towards your goals. One of the things I talk about all the time in my videos is not thinking about forever. Forever is inconceivable to the human mind. When I say I'm never going to drink again, I have no concept or scale of what that means. When I say I'm never drinking again, there's no way for me to wrap my brain around that. And then it just seems way big and way more challenging than what sobriety actually is, which is making the immediate decisions that set you up for success. Not tomorrow, not next week, not next year, not forever, but right now. What decision am I going to make right now that supports my sobriety? I think that is the single most important thing to remember. Oftentimes it's so easy to get wrapped up in the big picture, but the big picture is made up of right nows. And you can't control what happens tomorrow, and you can't say what you're going to be doing in 3 years, but you can make a decision for what you're going to do right now. And that is the only thing that you have to focus on. When I made that mentality change, that's when my sobriety really stuck, because it wasn't about, oh my gosh, I need to be sober for forever. It was, I need to be sober just for right now. And if I do that continuously, I will be sober for as long as it goes. You know what I mean? So really taking it back to the present. And you'll have those moments where you get really wrapped up in the big thing and it just spirals out. Just bringing yourself back to the moment and the decisions that you can make right now, the things that you're in control of right now, that will help set you up for success. And then one day you'll look back and all those little right nows will have added up to 2.5 years, 5 years, 10 years, forever. That's it for me today. Thank you so much for watching. If you did enjoy this video, if it was helpful, give it a thumbs up, leave a comment about where you're at in your journey. Ask any questions that you have in the comments. I love having those conversations. And if you want to see more sobriety tips and sober lifestyle content, be sure to subscribe to my channel for more videos. I really appreciate you being here, and as always, hopefully this video is encouraging. That is really my ultimate goal when I make these. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day or night wherever you are, and hopefully I'll see you in my next video.